So, I just got to see Trap, the brand new film from director M. Night Shyamalan.
M. Night Shyamalan ding dong.
Of course, as you know, one of the greatest directors in the history of Hollywood. Not really. A director who has had one of the weirdest Hollywood careers. He has made movies that can be described as masterpieces, some of the best movies of the last couple decades. He has also made movies like Avatar: The Last Airbender and After Earth. And my favorite, Old. Trap is his newest film, and it's about a serial killer who goes to a concert with his daughter, and he finds out while at this concert that the entire event was planned to be a trap for this killer. They knew he was going to be there, and they've set this concert up to trap him and capture him. And the trailers that we got for this movie were so over the top and so ridiculous and promised to be kind of a cheesy M. Night Shyamalan thriller. And let me just say, if you watched the trailer and thought, wow, that looks awful, then guess what you're gonna think while watching this movie? You're gonna think, wow, this movie's awful. But if you watched the trailer and you said, wow, that looks like a lot of fun, it looks like goofy, enjoyable M. Night Shyamalan ridiculousness, well, guess what? You might have yourself a good time at this movie. Because I personally thought this movie was a lot of fun, but I do have some problems, and I'm gonna go over all of them here. First things first, I want to say something about the marketing in this movie. I feel like the marketing did a good job of not lying to the audience about what to expect with this movie. It is a movie with a ridiculous concept. The concept that the more you think about, the less it makes sense. And the movie does not try to make you think about it. In fact, the movie constantly tells you not to think that deeply into how the actual trap of this serial killer works. Don't dig into the fact that what the cops and the FBI are doing is kind of illegal. Don't dig into the fact that the serial killer has like 15,000 ways that he realistically could have escaped from this event, but takes none of them because it would have made for a very boring movie. No, just enjoy the ride and accept what they tell you is true. And because of that, I was able to sit down and actually just enjoy that part of the movie. Josh Hartnett plays the serial killer in this movie, and I actually think he does do a very good job as this character, playing both kind of a loving, believable father, as well as this calculated, genius-level killer. There are times that I feel like he's less convincing when he's trying to be this, charismatic dude who's not a killer. Like, if I was at this concert and I saw that motherfucker there in a lot of these scenes, I would raise my hand and say, guys, that's him. It's gotta be that dude. Like, he's just not as convincing. There's actually a line later in the movie where they're like, you're such a good liar. Anybody would believe anything you say. No, not at all. I also think his daughter does a good job. I don't know the name of the girl that played her, but in the trailer, she looked really bad. The trailer made her look horrible. It's just some of the cringiest acting and writing I've ever seen, which is kind of normal for an M. Night Shyamalan movie. He makes very, very cringy dialogue that actors have a hard time selling. That's just what it is at this point with him. And the trailers made her look like she was not going to deliver one of the most flattering performances. She's actually really good. One of the stronger performances in the entire movie. This movie is also designed to kind of be a film about M. Night Shyamalan's kid, and I mean like his actual kid. Because the girl who's performing at this concert, the one that's called Lady Raven, is actually played by M. Night Shyamalan's daughter, whose name is Suleika Night Shyamalan. She's also really good. It's clear that she does not have as much acting experience as maybe other people in the movie, but she's beautiful, she sells the actual singing part, and her role does expand as the movie goes on. She does a good job. I also find it funny that he made an entire movie just to promote his daughter's musical career. Kind of heartwarming if you think about it. When this movie is actually at the concert and it's showing the creative ways that Cooper is trying to kind of avoid the police and get him and his daughter out of there without ruining her concert experience. Like, there's a lot of juggling going on, and yet again, if you think too deeply about it, it doesn't work at all. But if you just enjoy the fun chaos of what is happening at this concert, the first, 35-40 minutes of this movie are a damn good time. They're fun. It's actually really comedic at points. M. Night Shyamalan does a good job at including comedy in his movies that actually made me laugh at times. It's goofy, it's cheesy, and that's what it's supposed to be, and the movie never takes itself too seriously. My issues with this film mainly come in the second half of the movie. Now, the marketing campaign hid very, very well that there is an entire other section of this movie, a section that does not take place at the concert. And they did not really show any of it in the trailer. And that's where this movie really runs into a lot of problems. Now, early on in that section, I'm not going to go too in detail because I don't want to spoil anything, but there are early stuff in that section that are suspenseful and thrilling and highlight some of the best qualities M. Night has as a filmmaker, qualities that he showed in movies like Signs, in movies like Unbreakable. He is really good at building these tight character moments where you just have a couple people in a room and some sort of situation layered within it that creates suspense and tension. And he shows it in some of these sequences, specifically early in that kind of final second half of the film, away from the concert. And it works really, really well. The direction is good. There's really good use of sound design. And there's really smart moments where you go, wow, yeah, M. Night Shyamalan kicks ass. But then there's also moments that kind of highlight the issues with M. Night Shyamalan. Whereas the first half of this film did not take itself too seriously and was just a lot of fun, there are a lot of moments in the second half that decide to take itself way too seriously and become kind of a spoof of itself. And whereas the first half told you not to think too hard about this movie, the second half tells you to think hard about every last thing you see, and when it does that, it makes you realize that this whole plot is kind of stupid and ridiculous, and not in, like, the good way. Spread throughout the second half, there are really, really good moments in that part of the film. Moments that are surprising and have really good performance cues and really suspenseful, sort of kind of scary scenes at times. But also mixed throughout are kind of like this overuse of fake-out endings. Something you see in a lot of thriller movies today. Something you see in a lot of M. Night movies, where there's like 3 or 4 times where you feel like we're in the third act, we're ramping up, big moment, here come the credits. Nope, you got 20 minutes left. And then it'll ramp up, we're in the third act, we have to be in the third act now, and then big moment, it's gotta be over, nope, we got 10 more minutes left. And there are so many diversions and so many, like, mini twists, so many, like, gotcha moments, like, gotcha, you thought it was done? Well, gotcha! Where it just stops working, and it's not surprising anymore, and it's not as fun as it was, and the movie almost becomes redundant. By the time you actually get to the third act and you get to the final big build-up, it feels so much lesser than some of the previous build-ups and some of the previous set pieces that the film had built up to, and because of that, the actual ending, the actual final moment, did not feel earned. It felt just kind of flat. And then in the last shot of the movie, they do another gotcha, because M. Night Shyamalan can't help himself. He has to throw around twists, and of course, there's a lot of twists in this movie. I think the main one, which is supposed to be the big twist, which comes in that third act, in that last kind of sequence, is not great. It's kind of a twist that I feel like was written in just so we could have one more twist. But oh wait, there's one more thing, because it's just something that doesn't add anything to the overall plot. It wasn't really needed, and I guess it enhanced a character moment at the end that wasn't that important to begin with. So I didn't really understand the use of the twist in this film. But there are a lot of twists, so yeah, I guess some of them worked better than others. But that last little gotcha in the last shot of the movie, it just got to a point where it felt like the most M. Night Shyamalan movie ever when it comes to him leaning into some of his worst tendencies. So this movie is really the tale of two movies. You have the first half, which I really think is modern M. Night Shyamalan at his best. It's goofy, it's chaotic, it's fun, it keeps you absolutely engaged, it's fast-paced, and it has a lot of fun at this concert venue, being very creative and very funny at times with how this killer is getting around his circumstance. And then you have the second half of the movie, which just kind of becomes a generic, suspenseful thriller that at times works really well and highlights M. Night Shyamalan's best qualities as a filmmaker, and at other times is just complete nonsense and highlights M. Night's worst qualities as a filmmaker. Whether you enjoy this movie or not is going to be what you expect going into the film. If you're expecting M. Night from the early 2000s when he was dark and gritty and great at making just about anything, you're not getting that here. If you're somebody who likes the more chaotic, hilarious, cheesy M. Night films, you're going to get that in a lot of this movie. But if you're somebody looking for like the complete package, just a great movie from start to finish that never really falters at all, you probably might want to stick away from this one. And if you don't like cheesy dialogue and a fun, chaotic time that you don't have to take that seriously, you probably also won't like this one. Overall, though, I did have fun with this movie. It's probably the most fun I've had with an M. Night movie since Old. I mean, Old is terrible. This movie's not terrible at all. It's a lot better than that, but Old is fun because it's just so bad. This isn't so bad it's fun. This is just fun, and it's good, and it's just got down moments. But I actually had a good time with it. I will recommend it. I will give Trap a 3 out of 5. I think this is a solid summer movie, and for M. Night Shyamalan, I think it's a good hit. You know, this is pretty much the best you're gonna get from him at this point, I think. I still appreciate every time he releases a movie. I still have fun with them, but overall, you know, he just hasn't made anything great a long time. Tomorrow, I will be releasing my ranking of all of M. Night Shyamalan's movies, so please make sure to stick around for that. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.